Hey guys, I'm going to go over some stuff to get started on installing MySQL and Ruby on Rails on Windows. Get something to get us moving down the path here at least. So first, you can do them in either order, but first I would suggest installing MySQL. So the way I do it is I just search for MySQL on Windows. And there'll be one here, mysql.com, MySQL on Windows. And MySQL installer. And we want the, they're both 32-bit. The first one installs it off the web, the second one downloads the whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the second one. It asks you if you want to create an account. I just go down here to no thanks and hit run. Probably going to take a little bit longer on the corporate Ethernet. They don't quite get 14 megs per second. And come up with an installer box here. First link is to install the MySQL products. This should install everything except the terms. It's going to check to see if there's an updated version. Should come back with nothing to download since we just got it off their site. And I'm going to go ahead and select the developer's default. This installs MySQL Workbench as well, and a few other tools that you may end up wanting to use in the future. And it's going to check for a couple of dependencies, mostly .NET stuff. A bunch of it is probably already on your computer, but you can see I don't have Visual Studio Tools for Office 2010, so that needs to be installed. I'll go ahead and hit execute. And accept that. And install this dependency. Alrighty, that guy's done. Go on to next. Here it shows you everything that it's going to be installing. The key ones are Server and Workbench. There is an extension for Excel that allows you to manipulate MySQL data directly into the database using Excel. I haven't really played with that. I'm not much of an Excel guy, but one of you guys might want to goof around with that extension and see how that works for manipulating and viewing data. I'll go ahead and hit next. Let these guys install. Some of the other things on here probably won't end up using, but in the future there are some nice things to have in the utilities for doing some database maintenance stuff for future projects. Alrighty, that's complete. Hit next. And it's going to configuration. If you have any particular port constraints, this is the default port for MySQL. You can change that if you want. If you do change it, suggest writing it down or remembering it somewhere. But I'm just going to leave it at 3306. And that should be good. Root password. Since I'm just using it on my own development machine, I just named my passwords root. So root and root, and that's a weak password. And I also add a user with the username Rails, with password Rails, selecting all hosts and giving them full admin access. This is the user that I use to connect to it from my Rails applications. I don't like doing things as root from the application side. And you can create individual users for individual applications if you prefer, which is best practice if you're going to have multiple applications running on the same server. All right, users added. And next, I go ahead and leave it start up at this one here. You can, if you're planning on using MySQL Server, I would just let it start up. It does tax some resources in the background a little bit. It's not a huge amount, but if you're running things, if you're running doing operations on the database, then it can take up some system resources. So you can turn this off if you want. I just leave it on, and then it's always available. And run it as a standard system account. And install some sample and examples. And you have to click next a lot. You can look at the log if you like, but it looks pretty clean here. I didn't have run into any trouble, so just going to finish up with that. And when it's done, it should launch MySQL Workbench. This is what MySQL Workbench looks like. Nothing too fancy, not quite as overloaded with sensory input as the Oracle SQL Workbench is, in my opinion. But you can double click the local instance here. You're probably only going to have one unless you set up more connections. You can use this to remote connect to other MySQL databases as well. This one, root. You can save the password so you don't have to type it in each time. And there's the core of MySQL Workbench. This is your SQL workspace. This is your output results down here, and a couple of things up here. For our project, I'm going to go ahead and create a new schema, and I'm going to name it, let's see, what are we doing? We're doing ticket intake. So we'll call it intake process and development. There's a development and a production for the work that we'll be doing. Development and production environments inside of your Rails application sort of standard, so you can switch back and forth between the two. Right now I'm just going to create the development. If we do decide to go to production environment later, we can do that. So all it has to do is have the name of the actually I'm going to shorten this. I'm going to decide to make it ITP. Just has to have the name of the Rails application and underscore development and underscore production for the production side. And I'll go ahead and hit apply and hit apply, and successfully added to the database. Finish. So now we should have down here in our list ITP underscore development, and we don't have any tables in it, but on the right hand side here, these are the the ones that I didn't create, performance schema, test world, these are the databases that are um, MySQL's functional databases. It uses it for its internal processes. But this will be the one that we'll be putting our data into for our application. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And on the next one, we'll start with installing Ruby and Rails.